Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 1130 of Screw the Commute podcast. Today we're going to talk about outstanding customer service. I just got some really great customer service I want to tell you about, and then give you a recap on how you can be known as a great customer service company. All right, let's see. Hope you didn't miss episode 1129. That was Zoom scheduling, and it'll do a lot more than what you might think about by just having a scheduler. It does all kinds of cool stuff. So 1129. Anytime you want to get to a back episode, you go to screwthecommute.com/any episode number. Zoom scheduling was 1129. All right. Pick up a copy of my automation ebook at screwthecommute.com/automate free. Version 3.0 is still the latest. And the only big difference is that the short keys that saved me literally millions of keystrokes is now a browser extension instead of a downloadable program. So remember that when you're reading the book. And check out my mentor program at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com and my school at imtcva.org, certified to operate by Chev. All right. Now, I always like to do podcasts on things that are happening to me or I'm working on and so forth. So this just happened to me the other day. And if you've followed me for a while, you know I love Facebook Marketplace and eBay, and I'm a frugal McDougal kind of person that I like the thrill of the bargains, and I love that kind of stuff. My dad was very frugal as we were growing up. So I bought a telescope off of eBay, okay? And it arrived in a very reasonable time. No problem there. And I noticed that there was a big gash in the side of the box that it arrived in. So before I even opened it, I took a picture of the box to show damage. And then I opened it up and it didn't appear to be any damage. In fact, it looked new. And I think it was advertised as new. And it was a brand that I wasn't familiar with. So the pictures on eBay showed it as beautiful and no scratches or anything. But here's what happened. When I tried to look through it, everything was blurry. And there was a little lens that was kind of rattling around in its housing. So when I researched a little bit more, I found that there was no eyepiece. The eyepiece was either broken off or missing or whatever. So that's what happened. And as I researched it, I saw, well, it wasn't broken in transit. The seller put it in the pictures of it with no eyepiece, which I didn't know it was supposed to have an eyepiece. So it had to have been put in the box and shipped to me when it was still all blurry. So that was something that the seller should have checked, but I get it. This seller had 99.9% positive and hundreds of items for sale, mostly vintage. So I'm sure some things might fall through the cracks where they didn't get checked. And it looked like it was brand new. The case was brand new. The telescope looked brand new, but he might have gotten hoodwinked by whoever he bought it from and that it was the eyepiece was missing. So it really wasn't broken in transit. And so I said, well, here we go. So I messaged the seller through eBay. You always want to do things through eBay so that there's a record of the what's going on. And then I kind of forgot about it because I figured, maybe I'll hear back in a day or so. 5 minutes later, and this was after hours. This is like in the evening or something. 5 minutes later, I get a message back. That's just unbelievable in itself, especially for eBay people, right? And what did I get back in 5 minutes? And this is after I said, hey, the thing is all blurry. It doesn't look like, the eyepiece even came with it or was broken when you shipped it and so forth. So I wasn't being belligerent. I was just telling him what happened. So after 5 minutes, which again is unbelievable, I get a message back that says, "I'm so sorry. I'm here to help and make things right." And he said, "I might have another one. Give me a little time and I will check and see if I can replace it for you." So I'm thinking, man, this is something. 5 minutes he got back and he wasn't the typical jerko that, that gets all defensive and wants to mess with you. And he got back to me very quickly and he says, "You know what? I don't have another one." So he told me to keep the broken one and he refunded me like on that text exchange. Immediately, I got all the money back. This was like $92 or something. Yeah, it wasn't any Celestron that's $3,000. Right? It was just a little telescope. All right. This is not the kind of behavior you expect from eBay or Facebook Marketplace or any of these kind of places that I deal with. All right. So it kind of blew me away. And here's the thing about customer service or companies in general, they're going to mess up. I have messed up in the past, not too much because I'm such a fanatic, but I have messed up in the past. And it's what you do about it that shows what kind of company you are. See? It's no wonder to me he's got a 99.9% positive rating on eBay, because if he treats everybody like this, man, he deserves it. He deserves 110% positive. And I'm going to give you his eBay name here, and I'm going to encourage you to buy something from the guy because, I mean, he deals in a lot of vintage stuff. In fact, I wanted to buy something. I felt bad. I told him, I don't want to hurt small business people. Yeah, if you can get me another one replacement, great. I don't want to see you get hurt financially over this, because he was being so great. And this is the way I really feel about small business people. So he just said, just I'll refund you and don't bother sending it back. And his eBay handle is Dan, D-A-N, Danny, D-A-N-I-E, Kell, K-E-L-L, Danny Kell. And if please go look at him and buy something from the guy. I mean, I'm just really, I don't know him personally. I just know that out of the clear blue, he just took care of his company like he's a champ. All right. He's Nordstrom would be embarrassed compared to this guy. All right. So let's recap what happened here and what you should be doing in your business whenever possible. And the first one is he responded immediately. I mean, 5 minutes. This wasn't a bot or something. This was him personally responding. I know that's not always possible. I can't always do that, but he did it, and out of the clear blue, after hours even. And it just amazes me. Some of these companies I used to consult with, their voicemail would say, "We'll get back to you within 48 hours." Like, you're fucking crazy. I could be dead in 48 hours. I'm definitely not dealing with you anymore if you take 48 hours. I got some foreign company now I bought something with, and I send them an email, I ask for a refund and tell them all the details they needed. And they come right back and say, "Well, I need this detail." It was right in the email that I'd sent them. They can't even read English. All right. So that's not customer service. I'm getting ready to do a chargeback because I said I want a refund. They promised refunds immediately. And here's 3 emails back and forth asking me for information that was in the original email. So that's bullshit. All right. So I'm going to do a chargeback because they don't deserve to be taking money from people. But anyway, so recap. He responded immediately with an apologetic email. In other words, he didn't try to blame me or try to put it off on shipping or anything else. And he tried to actually fulfill, because I wanted the product, and it's a vintage thing, so you can't just buy, a new one. And so he tried to get another one. And then he refunded me immediately. It has to be a big loss to him because he bought the product probably wholesale or at a yard sale or something and shipped it for $13 was the shipping on it. And he had to eat all that because he gave me everything back without complaint. And so that's why I'm bragging about him on here. That's what people will do about you when you go way overboard to do what you're supposed to do when you mess up. In fact, customers become more loyal. I mean, I used to do this all the time for big companies and talk about this. The customer will become more loyal if you mess up and then take care of it beautifully like this guy did. It's Danny Kell, DANDANIEKELL on eBay. So anyway, if you have a company, those couple little things, just look at it, put it on a international podcast, top 1% podcast, because the guy just did that stuff compared to all his competitors. And I've been dealing on eBay for 150 years. All right. Nobody has ever done as good as this guy. See? So if you do this kind of stuff, respond immediately, apologetic email or phone call. That's good too. Try to take care of them, refund immediately, even if it's a little loss to you, because I'm hoping that this guy gets a bunch of business from the podcast here. And it's hard because he had a lot of stuff that just doesn't interest me, but I would have bought more stuff from him. So if you do that stuff for your company, people will brag and tell others, and it'll pay off big time for you, and you'll get a 99.9% or more positive rating in the things you do. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Check out my mentor program, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, and my school at imtcva.org. Certified to operate by SCHEV, the State Council on Higher Education in Virginia, but you don't have to be in Virginia because it's quality distance learning. All right, we'll catch you all in the next episode. And Danny Kell, good job, buddy.